I can remember walking into the living room one time when I was a kid, and my sister was watching this really weird, kooky movie. I sat down to watch it, and watching this film was like going down a weird road into insanity, and I loved every minute of it. Okay, this movie was really strange, and I had so many questions. Like, what was up with that guy who put that thing up his nose? What was with that psychotic kid who was always going on about $2?
$2. Cash.
What's with all the Q-tips? Why are these drawings coming to life? What's with all the skiing? And what's up with the clay animation burger? And why is it singing Van Halen? Okay, this film was freaking nuts. Released in 1985, Better Off Dead tells the tragic story of Lane Meyer, played by John Cusack, who wants to end it all after his girlfriend breaks up with him. And oh boy, does the world keep beating Lane while he's down. In a series of bizarre events where he befriends a visiting French student called Monique, played by Diane Franklin, and eventually comes to the conclusion that life is worth living. In this strange and surreal comedy classic, which quite literally is a movie unlike any other. In fact, Better Off Dead was actually my introduction to John Cusack. And as a kid, I always thought that he looked like a man with a little boy's head. So, because of that very reason, today we are going to look into 10 things that you didn't know about Better Off Dead. Probably one of the most weirdest movies ever. So let's check it out.
Now that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
Number 10. Better Off Dead is sort of based on a true story. Better Off Dead was the creation of cartoonist, voice actor, and filmmaker Savage Steve Holland, as he wrote and directed the movie, with Better Off Dead being his directional debut. And the movie is based on his own growing pains that he experienced in his teenage years, where, like the Lane character, his high school girlfriend did leave him for the captain of the ski team, which left Holland devastated and struggling to deal with the hardship. Holland also explained that when his ex-girlfriend saw Better Off Dead, she got in contact with him and said that she had no idea that the events of what happened had affected him so much. In fact, she herself was so shocked, the ordeal left her in therapy. But thankfully, the two seemed to patch things up. Holland would go on to direct several movies after Better Off Dead, but to me, his other work that stands out the most was creating the 90s animated series Eek the Cat, which I frickin' loved as a kid and watched religiously. And it really does capture that same oddball zany comedy that we see in Better Off Dead. Did anyone else here ever watch Eek the Cat? I hope you did, or you would have missed out on a great cartoon. So, yeah, that's something, isn't it? That something as fun and as goofy as Better Off Dead actually did start off with real life tragedy. Number 9, the movie got made thanks to the Fonz. Yes, you heard correctly, Better Off Dead exists because of Fonzie, as in, hey! You see, what happened is director Savage Steve Holland made a short film called My 11-Year Birthday Party, which was meant to be an autobiographical exploration into a real sad experience in Holland's life. However, when a certain former Happy Days cast member saw the short film, he found it to be hilarious. Henry Winkler was so impressed, he met up with Holland and told him just how funny he thought the short film was, with Holland feeling bemused as the movie was actually meant to be a tragedy. Upon telling Winkler this, the former Fonz set Holland up an office at Paramount so he could write a script about more sad tales of his life with the anticipation of creating some cinematic comedy gold. And thus this led to the bizarre creation that is Better Off Dead. Hey, thanks Fonzie. Hey! Number 8, the movie got picked up because of a teen movie craze at that time. Despite writing the script in an office in Paramount, it was Warner Brothers who picked up Better Off Dead and decided to distribute it, because just a few years earlier, Fast Times at Ridgemont High came out, where suddenly there was a huge demand for teenage movies. And yeah, if you look at cinema at this point in time, there was actually a lot of teen movies, with the likes of Revenge of the Nerds, to Risky Business, to Footloose, to Teen Wolf, and pretty much nearly every John Hughes movie of that time. Warner Brothers also had complete confidence in Holland, and so because of this, he wanted to put in everything that he knew about filmmaking, including clay animation and cartoons. It also seems that Better Off Dead was made at just the right time, as Holland has further said that the movie would not be allowed to be made these days. So it truly is a product of its time. But to be fair, a lot of teen movies of this time were quite spicy. I mean, just look at Porky's. I don't think that could ever possibly get made these days either. Number 7, the studio didn't think that John Cusack was right for the role. Henry Winkler really wanted John Cusack to star as the movie's main lead of Lane Myers, as Winkler had previously worked with Cusack on The Sure Thing. And after seeing an early screening of The Sure Thing, Savage Steve Holland also agreed that Cusack is great and would be perfect for the role. Holland took the idea of casting Cusack up to the higher-ups in the production, but they were hesitant, as at that stage, The Sure Thing hadn't come out yet, and Cusack was mainly known for his role in 16 Candles, where he played a really nerdy character, and they just didn't think that he was leading man material. So Holland had to really put up a fight to get Cusack as his leading man, until finally the studio caved in and let Holland cast Cusack. Likewise, Curtis Armstrong was cast as Childs, as Holland liked his performance in Risky Business. And Aaron Dozier was cast as the movie's villain Roy, because when he turned up for his audition, he saw Holland and without knowing that he was the director, said, "Who's the chubby kid?" And for that remark alone, Holland thought that he was perfect to play the unlikable antagonist. So, I guess the moral of the story is, sometimes you have to insult the director to get the part? I guess. Number 6, the I Want My $2 Paperboy is based on a real kid. One of the most memorable aspects of Better Off Dead is the psychotic paperboy who is constantly stalking and tormenting Lane to get his $2. Man, this little bastard scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. He seemed so messed up and intense. Like, no matter what, this kid was going to get his $2. He was hell-bent on it. In fact, the paperboy is such an intricate part of the movie, I often find that whenever I talk to other people about Better Off Dead, they usually always say the line, "I want my $2, and often that's the first thing they do say. However, although it may seem like an absurd concept that fits perfectly into the ludicrous world of Better Off Dead, this kid is actually based off a real-life paperboy who actually did stalk director Savage Steve Holland, demanding that he gives him $2. The part was played by a then 12-year-old Damian Slade, who won the role as when he auditioned, he approached the part as if he was a serial killer, and that intensity alone got him the role of the paperboy. In fact, this kid was so intense that in that scene where he's on Lane's car, tapping on the windshield with a newspaper, Slade actually broke the windshield, of which it had to be replaced. Okay, seriously, no picking fights with this kid, he will mess you up. Likewise, the concept of Lane's mum being an experimental cook is also a concept based on real life, as Holland's mum was also an experimental cook too. That would have been an interesting household. Number 5, the animated burger scene was a replacement. Another truly iconic and standout moment in Better Off Dead is the classic claymation burger scene, where a burger comes to life and starts singing. It takes Better Off Dead from being just your average wacky comedy to being something truly unique and even experimental. And the fact that the song the burger is singing is a Van Halen song just makes it so much more awesome. However, as memorable as this scene was, it was actually a scene that replaced another scene. In the original script, there was a scene where a rat falls into a fryer, where the deep fried rat was accidentally served to a customer at the restaurant the Lane character was working at. But it was felt that that scene was just too gross, so a different scene had to take its place, which is how we got the claymation burger scene. Speaking of animation, there's a scene in the movie where we see this lady singing a song called One Way Love. The singer was played by E.G. Daily, who would go on to voice Tommy in Rugrats and Buttercup in the Powerpuff Girls. And let's not forget, Better Off Dead also stars Yuji Okamoto, who the following year would go on to play the classic 80s villain Chozen in The Karate Kid Part 2. And the actress who played Lane's ex-girlfriend was Amanda Wyss, who previously played Freddy Krueger's first victim in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 4, the movie's tagline had to be changed. Better Off Dead makes light of a very sensitive topic, that being one taking their own life. However, the movie's true message is that it's better to never do that, and that no matter what, life is always worth living. However, the movie's original tagline may have been a bit too much for public consumption, as the first tagline was, "Sometimes you're better off dead." This caused the studio to get a ton of complaints from people who saw the poster and felt that it was sending a negative and possibly dangerous message out into the public. So a change was needed, where the tagline was reworked into, "Relax, you're never better off dead." And is it just me, or does the new tagline sound like it was a response to the complaints the first tagline got? Like as if whoever came up with that is responding to the complaints and saying, "Relax, it's okay, of course you're never better off dead." And it lets the public know the movie's true intentions and observations on this otherwise delicate issue. Number 3, the poster was designed by a movie poster legend. So the big question is, who could design a poster for this odd, zany comedy? Why, one of the greatest movie poster illustrators of all time, of course, as Drew Struzan illustrated the movie poster for Better Off Dead. Yeah, Drew Struzan is in the man who also illustrated the posters for the Indiana Jones movies and Back to the Future. The poster was interesting enough, as it shows Lane sitting on the ledge, surrounded with other characters from the movie, while showing the tired despair on Lane's face. What's interesting is that Struzan made the posters for Better Off Dead, The Goonies, and Back to the Future all in the same year, so I wonder what his workshop would have looked like at that time. Would it have been covered in drafts and concepts of all 3 of these movies? And also what's interesting is that when I was a kid, the VHS copy that we rented had completely different artwork, as we got this illustration which shows several scenes from the movie, including Lane being infested with Q-tips. The illustration of Lane's mother cooking the octopus tentacles and giant crab claw always did freak me out though and make me uncomfortable. Then we get this VHS release from the 90s which just looks really plain and boring, and more to the point, what's up with John Cusack? Jeez man, calm down. He looks really pissed off. No, seriously, he looks like he's ready to bust some kneecaps. Who knows, maybe this was John Cusack after he saw an early private screening of Better Off Dead. Yep, this leads me into my next point. Number 2, Cusack initially hated the movie. John Cusack and Savage Steve Holland got along so well during the making of Better Off Dead that when the production wrapped up, they teamed up together straight away, with Cusack signing on to star in Holland's next movie, One Crazy Summer. However, things took a dramatic turn when Cusack attended a screening of Better Off Dead. According to Holland, Cusack walked out 20 minutes into the movie and was furious with what he saw. He would then go on to tell Holland that it was the worst movie that he had ever seen, and he felt like Holland had tricked him into starring in the movie, and that he basically never wanted to talk to him ever again, further stating that he felt the movie sucked, and he felt that Holland made a fool out of him. Ouch. That's pretty harsh, especially considering the two had to then work together on another movie, which would have been awkward. Holland likened the experience to be as heartbreaking as the girlfriend who broke up with him, who was the creative inspiration behind Better Off Dead. However, Cusack has since explained that he didn't hate Better Off Dead, but just didn't have a feel for the movie, but other than that he thought the film was fine. He supposedly even said that he feels bad that Holland believes that he hates the movie so much, when in actual fact he doesn't. Who knows, maybe Cusack was just a bit hot-headed back then, and with the passing of time and age, he's mellowed out and warmed up to Better Off Dead. And so he should, it's a good film. Number 1, VHS saved Better Off Dead. Okay, there's no beating around the bush with this one. Better Off Dead had a disappointing box office performance. It made just over $10 million, which isn't that bad, but nowhere near as much as expected. Holland further said that after the disappointing reception of Better Off Dead, he went into film jail, which I guess means it derailed his career for a period of time. However, Better Off Dead would get a second lease of life thanks to video rentals, as when the movie was released on VHS, it became a very popular and successful rental hit, where it would transcend into cult movie status, and to this day is considered a well-loved comedy classic. So it's a nice ending, knowing that although it had a rough start, Better Off Dead did end up getting its fair dues. What I love the most about Better Off Dead is just how fresh and original it feels. The movie feels so bizarre and unlike anything you've ever seen before, to the point where the movie even feels surreal and experimental. To me, Better Off Dead is less Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which I think is what the studio wanted, and feels more like something you'll get from John Walters or even Terry Gilliam. I wonder if Holland went out to break the rules of convention and make a movie that feels unlike your average Hollywood film, or unlike anything you've ever seen before for that matter. It's joyful movie experiences like this that reminds us that you're not better off dead. Or if you were, you wouldn't be able to enjoy this film. Anyway, that was my look into Better Off Dead. So if you want to watch a zany movie, but one that's a different and unique experience, then you should totally check Better Off Dead out. Anyway, I'm Minty, and if I ever meet John Cusack, I'm going to go over to him and say, I want my $2. Yep, I bet no one has ever said that to him before. I guarantee that he has never had random people go over to him and say, I want my $2. See ya!